Previously on the Big Damn Cast.
Listen, I know the lobster was overcooked, but what was I to do? He had a gun to my butt!
Same old, same old. Matt and Chris in the TARDIS. Don't die on me, man. Don't die on me. It's Big Damn Cast.
Why would you spring that on me?
Hey, everybody.
Oh, no.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to part deuce of our pre-recorded holiday telethon spectacular.
Gonna drop a deuce.
Drop it right on the table in front of you. A deuce. Something beginning with C. DC. If you listened to Big Damn Cast last week, you'll know that we're not here. Except we are, but we're not here.
You were never really here.
Never really. I was always an idea. There was an idea to bring a group of two people together to face a villain that none of them could face alone.
What was that villain?
Boredom.
Yeah. Boredom.
Last week we delivered to emailer Dan Rawlings our list of Marvel books to check out. Check it out.
Check the mic.
But this week we are paying lip service to the distinguished competition. And possibly dipping a toe into some other stuff. But in the meanwhile, hello, welcome to Big Damn Cast. I am Chris, aka that last bit of Kit Kat that's just round the back of your teeth. And you know it's there, and you could probably dislodge it. Maybe not with your tongue, maybe with a fingernail. But you're thinking, do you know what? I've got half an hour left till my break. I'm going to savour this. I'm going to savour every crumb.
And I'm Big Damn Matt.
So, for those who are wondering, what do you mean by recommendations? Dan Rawlings last week said he'd been reading Secret Wars, the Marvel event series of 2016.
Yes!
And was there any other Marvel books that would be good to take mind off when you're having a stressful period? Hey, Dan of the past, if you've had any exams since your email, hope they went well, son.
Yeah.
If they didn't, blame us from the past.
Blame us!
But not us from the present. We have nothing to do with it.
I have plenty of self-loathing. I can bear some of yours as well.
So we dished out some Thor, some X-Men, some Jessica Jones stuff that we all recommended you check out. But at the same time, we are equal opportunities sad acts.
Yes.
And also, because we're going to preempt the tweets of hatred from a bunch of people who didn't pay attention to last week's podcast beyond the title.
If you didn't pay attention, how will they know?
They'll never know. And I'll never tell.
I'll never tell.
This week we're going to touch down in the playing field of DC. But not only that, because we're not starting with a review of a Infinity War trailer. Did you hear that soft fizzle, ladies and gentlemen? That was
I was
pop
expecting
opening.
it to be a
It didn't quite do it, but that's okay. Because we're not talking about an Infinity War trailer, that means DC will get longer to be talked about. Except it won't, because we'll touch on some Dark Horse and Image Comics and stuff as well. Neutral.
I can tell you now, before we even move on to Image, don't read Spawn.
You think you want to read Spawn?
I thought I wanted to read Spawn, and I read the first Origins collection, which collects the first 6 issues.
But don't read Spawn.
Oh, it's so bad.
Did you feel like you've been violated?
Oh,
like a clownman.
Oh, yes.
So, where do you want to kick off in the world of DC for recommends?
Well,
never heard of that one.
Everyone knows there are 2 big DC characters.
Yes.
Big Badder and Mr. Miracle. No!
That was beautiful. In my head I was like, which one's he going to go for?
They're the power couple of the DC universe. It's true. They are.
True.
Forget Lois Lane and Clark Kent.
Who?
Forget Batwoman and Batwoman and Catman. Batman and Catwoman.
Forget Batwoman and the... Who was she with?
I don't know.
She wasn't superpowered, was she?
No.
No, there was Lois Lane. Unless you count her ferocity, her tenacity, the fact that versions of her can smoke over 70 cigarettes a day, and she doesn't know how to spell the word rape.
Lois Lane was briefly superpowered.
Oh, right.
After the New 52 Superman died, some of his powers passed to her, and then she died of the powers. Then they passed to Lana Lang.
No, but... Oh, God.
So Lana Lang's Superwoman.
No, but seriously, Superman the movie, why can't she spell the word rape? She asks how many R's in rape.
That's
That's a bad
Because
journalist.
she's Tony the Tiger in disguise.
That is a bad journalist.
It's rape!
That's it for this week, everybody. Thanks for listening to Big Damn
That
Cast.
was awful. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I know it's wonderful. It's not the it's not the worst joke that's been made in the last few weeks. Go back 2 episodes to find that one.
DC has 2 big tentpole characters.
Yes.
Arguably 3 because they got the Trinity. But I haven't got much to say about Wonder Woman because she is an iconic character and she is a very important cultural touchstone. But I personally have not really read much of her solo stuff, and I'm not aware of any of her sort of stories which are regarded as definitive runs, definitive story arcs. Like I hear great things about her post-Crisis George Perez.
That's the stuff that I've been told to check out if I want to see more Wonder Woman.
That's
the one with the first covers, like a bunch of it's like worms or something.
Yeah,
it's all green, and she's like fighting them
caught in
off.
vines. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, we're going to be using the term post-crisis quite a lot in this. What we mean is...
You will. I'll be taking a shot every time you say it.
Crisis on Infinite Earths was a 1985 DC Comics crossover, which...
Oh, that burns so good.
Which essentially reset the continuity into what we now think of as modern DC, or at least until they rebooted the continuity again with the New 52. But yeah, so
and then backtrack from that with Rebirth.
So most of the good stuff is post-Crisis, because that's when DC really kicked into the modern age.
But if you do want some good Wonder Woman, I do know where you can read some, albeit not her own book.
Where's that?
The Wade and Morrison run on JLA.
Yes, I was going to talk about JLA.
Let's do it.
You've preempted me.
Let's do it. Let's ruddy well do it.
It's a good place to get your dose of the Trinity. It's a good place to get your Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman fix on. Yeah, you can get it in deluxe edition volumes. It's really good. It's got stuff like Tower of Babel in there, and Grant Morrison being really, really weird. It was basically when Grant Morrison took it over, he wanted to bring the team back to the core members. So it was because JLA's been all over the place. The Justice League's been been all sorts of different teams, and everyone's been on the Justice League, just like everyone in the Marvel universe, and their mum's been on the Avengers. So he wanted to sort of re-legitimise the team by pairing it back to Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, who at the time was Kyle Rayner, The Flash, who at the time was Wally West, Martian Manhunter, and who else? That was everyone.
We got Batman, Wonder Woman,
Superman, Martian Manhunter, Flash,
Kyle, Green Lantern,
Flash,
Martian Manhunter. Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. They didn't have another woman. Oh, Aquaman.
Oh god, yeah. Oh, he was. I don't think he's not on the team. On the team, is he? But he pops up a lot.
I think he's on the team. Yeah.
I don't.
They expand the team again later on with some more esoteric characters.
I was going to say, I don't know if Aquaman's on the team in the first volume. I think he's sort of like taking a distance from him, but I might be.
I think he's reluctant, but he is because it's the first volume is the White Martian.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Oh my god, because Aquaman kills one of them by taking all the water out of his body.
Something like that.
Like he dries the Martian out by like sort of absorbing the moisture in the Martian's body. Yeah, because it's weirdly like dark. Like Aquaman stood there just going like, "Yeah, I'm just doing this right now. I'm taking the moisture out of your brain right now."
This JLA series was during a dark time in
So
Aquaman's
what I
history.
did was I decided to have Aquaman take water out of the alien's brain.
It's the hook
and that
hand
thought
Aquaman.
came to me when I'd scrunched up some mushroom and put them in my Cocoa Pops in the morning. Grant Morrison's
a fucking crazy person.
But yeah, it results in 90% excellent output.
As it goes, as it goes on, you just get really weird, bonkers stuff. Like there is a story arc about the fifth dimensional imps manifesting in the real world as genies, which also includes the Justice Society.
Yes.
I'd
forgotten about that one. Oh my god, yeah.
There is a Starro story that also features Sandman.
Yeah,
like the Neil Gaiman Sandman.
Yeah.
Because he's taking over America in dreams.
What's the Dark Side one? That one's freaking great.
Oh yes.
Holy snap!
It's when the one there's a couple of Dark Side ones, but the one that sticks in my mind is where
the one where like it's the
Flash and
the future has changed and everything.
Yeah, they go into like an alternate future, and Batman's the only one left, and
but being continuously tortured by Desaad.
Yeah.
And that's the one where it's narrated by Black Racer.
Yeah.
And it's like,
that was
like,
one issue.
This character is naff as sin.
The last issue of Black Racer narrates it,
but they kind of make it work. I think that's. I remember grabbing that series because I heard about that story in Smodcast. I think. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I'd give that a read. And then I started collecting the trades, and that's in like the third or fourth.
They're
and I was like,
really good.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's like if you're more of a Marvel fan because you like the films and everything. If you're enjoying your Thanos Black Order sort of stuff. That's a good story arc because you get to learn about Darkseid, you get to learn about like his hordes and everything, Granny Goodness.
Because what happens is with when Grant Morrison starts when he brings it all back to basics and familiar concepts, and then he just introduces more and more weirdness as it goes on to the point where the team expands to include Zoriel, who's an actual angel. You get Plastic Man.
It's blue and red Superman at first as well.
No, it's regular Superman first, and I think in Volume 2 it's Superman Blue.
Oh,
which is weird.
That's the thing. We'll just go with it, guys.
There's a whole thing where Superman was blue and had electricity powers. Don't worry about it. No. Just don't worry about it. They didn't. Also, Wonder Woman dies and Hippolyta takes over as Wonder Woman for a while, but it makes little to no effect on the story, so don't worry about it.
Do you know, saying that just made me remember something.
What's that?
I decided that if by some circumstance, if I ever ended up being the head of the head editor or whatever, chief editor of a comic book company.
Yeah.
Do you know what my one rule would be?
Dead stays dead.
For the next 5 years at least, you cannot kill off any main characters unless you mean that they're dead.
Yeah.
Like I just because that's just Wonder Woman dies, but Hippolyta takes over. But it's alright because Wonder Woman comes back.
And it doesn't really come up in the book. Like Hippolyta is essentially exactly the same as Wonder Woman. So,
when death just becomes a publicity stunt or an element of drama to an ongoing narrative, as like a shock moment, it loses the weight of it because you just know that it's going to be reversed at some point.
JLA is a really good series to get the gist of the fun and weirdness that exists in the DC universe, which a lot of the more modern takes on the characters have forgotten, and certainly the more modern cinematic takes on the characters have forgotten.
Yeah.
It's colourful, it's strange, it's a bit bonkers, and it's a lot of fun, actually.
You'll finish reading a volume of it going, so why aren't they doing Martian Manhunter in the films? This guy's amazing.
Martian Manhunter's great.
He's so good. And one of the reasons why I ended up picking up Supergirl cheap on DVD, because I just want to see, I want me some live action John Jones.
We like some Martian Manhunter.
Do you know what else we like?
What?
We like the period in Batman's life when Bruce Wayne wasn't Batman. Because he was dead, air quotes. And Dick Grayson was Batman.
I love Grant Morrison's Batman.
Yes.
I like most of Grant Morrison's stuff, to be fair.
And the stories that surround it as well.
Starting with Batman and Son, going through the Black Glove, into Batman R.I.P., then through... And also Final Crisis, by extension.
Brian K. Vaughan's Faces was part of that era as well, wasn't it?
That was seeing it slightly.
But it was I'm sure it was Dick in the cowl.
Possibly.
I mean, it depends on what mood he's in.
But in terms of if you just want a solid chunk of really good Dick Grayson Batman, you want to pick up Scott Snyder's Batman: The Black Mirror.
Black Mirror, which is sort of 2 and a bit story arcs.
Well, it was originally published in Detective Comics, so that it's like,
But that's got. In fact, there it is. Like I said, dead ahead. That is a beautiful run of comics. So if you enjoy Batman, that's great. But even the most hardcore fan of Batman can be like, I kind of want this to be a bit more fun. Well, here's how it stays dark and creepy, and you still get some really shocking villains, especially during the Morrison run.
Yeah.
But you've got a guy in the cowl who used to be Robin.
Yeah.
So he's already coming at it from a different way, and it does change the stories in a big way. Like that, you could swap Dick Grayson out in the script and put Bruce Wayne in the cowl, and it would still make sense as a Batman story. But there are certain reactions, certain panels in terms of expressions of the character, the inner monologues that are different, and it's such a fun break.
And also, the Grant Morrison Batman and Robin,
Yeah.
which actually was the first comic series to be called Batman and Robin. They'd made it all the way to 2011 without having a series called Batman and Robin. That
the closest was Batman and Robin, the Boy Wonder, or something, wasn't it? Yeah, and
it was All Star Batman and Robin, the Boy Wonder, which is dog shit. Don't read it.
Or get it really cheap. Don't read it. Just look at the pretty pictures.
Oh man, Jim Lee's art is next level. But yeah, it's.
I've got it just for that. I picked it up cheap at a W.H. Smith sale.
The writing
because I just wanted to look at it.
Awful, yeah.
Are you dense?
And the goddamn
Batman.
But what you get in Batman and Robin is you get the dynamic of the dynamic duo between Dick Grayson as Batman and Damian Wayne, the boy who will one day be Batman, sort of bouncing off each other, and it is a bit more light-hearted. And it's Frank Quitely does art for at least the first volume.
Yeah,
and Jesus, he's good. Oh my God, Frank Quitely is an artist and a half.
Frank Quitely's gorgeous. There's a book that I think we'll probably mention under our grand talk with Frank Quitely that's stunning. Black Mirror's worth a read because it's creepy. I mean, if you're a fan of classic Batman stuff, there's not a lot of classic Batman things in Black Mirror.
No, because it's Dick Grayson Batman. Yeah,
it's more about dealing with slightly more, not nuanced or subtle, but certainly quieter threats.
Yeah.
It's about dealing with psychopaths and crooked auctioneers and people peddling weaponized drug versions of superpowers, and it's just the Black Mirror is creepy as sin.
And also, it's got the wonderful sort of flat color, big shadow, thick line art of Francesco Francavilla, who is just
and Jock chips
wonderful
in that one as well.
Jock does the covers.
Yeah, I think he does a couple of the issues.
Yeah, he does an arc as well. But yeah, Jock's incredible. Jock recently did another stuff with some more stuff with Scott Snyder on the more recent All Star Batman. Jock did a couple of issues that out with him as well.
The good All Star Batman, guys and guys.
Yes, the good All Star Batman.
John Romita's still the principal artist.
John Romita, he did the first arc.
Oh, okay.
I
always hated the first cover of that arc. I thought it looked really dumb. And we were just standing there holding a weird long batarang. It's like, this is your cover?
You find out what that is in the story.
Okay.
Also,
fair enough. There's a point to that weird
actually,
batarang.
the All-Star Batman, the recent All-Star Batman series is a main story with a backup feature.
Yeah.
So, the first 6 issues, the backup story goes on for like 8 or 9 issues, but the first arc of the 6 issues is John Romita Jr. drawing, and then there's another arc running as a backup, drawn by Declan Shelby.
Oh, okay.
Which is very, very nice looking. And then you get Jock and a few other artists chipping in for the next arc, doing because it's a bit more episodic, the next arc and the parts of that. That's worth checking out. The Scott Snyder All-Star Batman. Any Batman by Scott Snyder, actually. The New 52 Batman run is it's 10 volumes of really good, solid Batman stuff and modernising that mythology. I like the Tom King new stuff. You're not so keen.
Yeah,
and I am finding that he's a bit of a Marmite Batman writer.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone's arguing that he's the bad writer.
Robin, bring me the Marmite. Gee Willikers, Batman! Only half of the GCPD picnic's going to enjoy these.
Oh no! But I think as the run's going on, more and more people are going, I don't know if he's the right writer for this character. So your mileage may vary with new Batman, but definitely check out some Grant Morrison Batman, and some of the later Dick Grayson as Batman stuff, like say Black Mirror.
That's when Bruce returns, but it's like, I'm setting up Batman International.
I don't think he's returned.
Oh, he is by Black Mirror, I think so. Yeah, because he's like, you be Batman, I'm setting all this shit up.
Yeah, he sets up Batman Inc., which is also integral part of Grant Morrison's run and should be read because you get things like the Batmen of all nations.
Yeah, I mean, you'll come out of that going, the fuck did I just read?
What the fuck is this? Listen, it gives us Professor Pig and his Dolatrons. Like, it gives us all sorts of weird nonsense. It's a great,
I just love the fact, as you said that, I'm looking at the Arkham Knight action figure on my shelf and I'm just like, if anything of the Grant Morrison run, it's like, if you could pick one thing where you're like, I'm so glad it happened because of that, it's Professor Pig.
Professor Pig.
What a fucked up character.
I mean, a lot of A lot of the Grant Morrison, Frank Quitely Batman stuff was just them just brainstorming weird villains that would appear in one panel and that's it.
Yeah.
Or just in the background.
Oh god, the back of some of those books is full of the designs.
The behind the scenes stuff in the back of the trades has got some really cool stuff in it about. And but yeah, staying on Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely, let's get to what we alluded to earlier. All-Star Superman.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to say Grant Morrison's tax returns for the year 2004.
Hey!
Frank Quitely did them for him. He's got better handwriting. Do you think Grant Morrison could afford a tax, like a tax an accountant to look at his taxes?
There's no money in comics, and he spent it all on mind-expanding substances.
Yeah, and climbs up into temples.
He's oh man, Grant Morrison, what a guy!
Got some really sturdy boots.
What a guy!
I got halfway up the mountain and I ate the boots.
I can't tell if you're Grant Morrison or Billy Connolly.
I walked up the mountain and I grabbed my boots. Anyway,
but it
also
was funny.
All-Star Superman, not to be confused with All-Star Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder.
The same idea, because the original idea was that they were going to have an all-star line of sort of out-of-continuity stories. This is around the same time Marvel were doing Ultimate. Like, out-of-continuity
DC do this
stories,
a lot, where they're either like Elseworlds or event series or out-of-continuity book that has nothing to do with the rest of the books.
That could be, like, approachable to new readers as a sort of, this is a definitive story for this character.
Things like Batman Black and White and stuff, where they just go, anyone could pick this up.
And All-Star Superman is a 12-issue series that sort of tells the story of the last days of Superman. Not in like this big villain. Like, he finds out that he's basically
he's helping this team with an experiment to do with the sun, isn't it?
And he basically absorbs too much solar radiation, and he finds out that he's dying.
Yeah, it's basically Krypton cancer, essentially, isn't it? It's like, you've not got long.
Yeah.
We're not sure how long, but it's definitely less than a year. Is I think the initial thing, isn't
something
it?
like that. So he spends all this time sort of...
Is his initial reaction just like, oh? Because he doesn't really know how to process it.
Yeah.
It's like, right, okay.
But
and he's not frightened, he just kind of thinks about it and accepts it and...
Then sets out to spend the next however long he's got sort of fixing things and making the world... just preparing the world for life after Superman, and sort of fixing some of his regrets and mistakes, and it's just a wonderful, wholesome, fun, inspirational Superman story. He is. There's a great anecdote that Grant Morrison tells about when he was preparing to write this story.
Swallows off my tits on ketamine.
Hey, no accents. Enough of the accents now.
Swallows off my tits.
No! Basically, he was like, they were at a convention or something, so there was lots of people in costume, and they're on these, I think they're on these rail tracks or something, like, near the convention centre is, and they just see this dude dressed as Superman, just chilling, like, super relaxed.
Yeah.
And it's like, not, and then he sees him and he goes, that's how I imagine Superman, not chest out, bulging and doing things. So he's just
not red glaring eyes staring down.
No, it is as he is on the cover of the first issue of All-Star Superman. He's just sat down, his knee up to his chest, sort of dead,
on a cloud,
dead
isn't
casual
it? Yeah.
on a cloud, just like being. It's like, I'm comfy and I'm Superman. And he sat down with this guy who remained in character as Superman, and they just talked, and he asked him questions about Superman, and he used this guy's responses to sort of build this Superman that was very sort of socially conscious and aware of his place as an inspiration and wanting to make, see the best in people and bring out the best in people, and it all comes through in the book, which is just,
it's lovely.
It's lovely. It's wonderful.
Like, it is, for those who are like, oh, I don't want a lovely story. It is action packed.
Plenty of action.
It is scary. It is sci-fi wackiness. It is some hard hitting truths, but it's just nice. Like, it's a nice book.
It's Superman at his best, bringing out the best in others, which is the problem that people have had with Superman as writers recently. I think people are like, oh, we don't know what to do with him. He's too powerful. It's like, no, Because you're thinking of him in terms of just beating up villains, and that's not what he does.
I hesitate to quote him slightly, but I do think he's a good authority on it. Max Landis once said about Superman,
Yeah.
which I think sums him up perfectly. It's like, he's not a god, he's not an alien, he's not a monster, he's not a superhero. He's a guy from Kansas who has the best superpowers.
Yeah.
Like, you have to think of it that way. It's like, he's a guy who had really lovely parents, who raised him right, who's polite, who's sweet. He gets annoyed like the rest of us do, he gets angry like the rest of us do. But ultimately, being a nice guy, he'll never let that dictate what he's doing.
Yeah.
And also, it turns out he can freaking bend metal girders with a thought. Like that's... You have to look at it as he's a kid from Kansas.
So, he was right about that, but also, fuck Max Landis.
Yeah. The American Alien is a good book. I do recommend that.
Yeah.
But
fuck Max Landis.
But, maybe get it on some kind of, subscription app service so he doesn't get a penny.
Don't make sure he doesn't get financial recompense for it.
Don't pirate it unless you have to.
But
that's not an official statement. We're not endorsing theft of material. Just finding ways to look at it cheap. Borrow it off a friend. Visit a library. Visit a library.
Visit a library. A library should have it.
You uncultured swine.
Superman's one of those characters whose origin story is super well known.
Yeah.
But there are at least 2 versions of it which are worth reading anyway. And that's Superman Birthright by Mark Waid and Lynn Francis Yu, and Superman Secret Origin by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, which I hadn't read until recently when Comic Pop did it on their back issues.
Oh, right.
And in some ways, I think there are some things I prefer about it to Birthright. It's certainly snappier. But I'm really torn on which one.
Well, Birthright's got a lot of build. Birthright starts up as a comic where it's like,
much slower.
We know you're here for a Superman origin story, but we're going to take our time and tell it in a way you're not expecting.
Whereas Secret Origin is basically Jeff Johns writing his script for a Christopher Reeve Superman movie. Like, he's rewriting Superman movie, basically, especially because Gary Frank just draws Christopher Reeve.
Nice. I'd watch that.
He just draws Superman as Christopher Reeve.
Let's touch on Birthright first, but also to bring it back to Frank Quitely for All Star. Frank Quitely and Lynn Francis Yu do this beautiful thing with Clark and Superman where they draw a farm boy. Like, they draw him a big, bulky guy. Frank Quitely plays a little more on the dopiness of that archetype and stuff.
And also takes him back to sort of circus strongman origins.
Yeah, in terms of the look and the physique. But they draw a guy who looks one way, and then all he's got to do, much like Reeve in the films, and that gorgeous shot in number 2, all he's got to do is just straighten his back, and you're like, hang on. Holy shit, it's Superman! Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's this whole thing of Clark isn't performing when he's being Clark Kent. He's just relaxing.
Yeah.
Like, he's just sort of relaxing a bit, and then Superman, he stands tall, and suddenly that physique shifts just enough that you're like, oh, it's a big doopy guy.
Doop.
And all he does is straighten up, and his face drops from clueless expression, and you're like, oh my god, that guy's a brick shithouse, and we're all going to die if we pick a fight with him. And Birthright, he looks like that as well. Yeah. But a bit younger. In Birthright, they young him up a little, don't they? Because it's that sort of... I think he's pitched to be his mid-20s in Birthright.
Yeah, it picks up with him post-college.
He's in
traveling.
Africa,
he's in Africa doing journalism stuff.
Which is great because it's one of the few ones where they go let's show why he likes journalism.
Yeah.
Here it is. He studied it and he enjoys it.
Yeah.
And while he travels, he's like, I'm going to try and help out a little here.
But we're going to be getting another Superman origin soon.
Oh, bloody hell.
Because Brian Michael Bendis is taking over the Superman titles.
Oh,
and he's doing another Man of Steel miniseries to do Superman's origin, just like John Byrne did with Post Crisis, did Man of Steel.
Which I do have. I've got the really tiny little trade of it.
Yeah.
Which again, I got second hand in Manchester, that place in the Northern Quarter opposite the Arndale.
Oh, yeah.
Where they never put price tags on half the stuff. And it almost feels like you're in a boutique store, because it's almost like, don't ask if you can't afford, bitch. But then you ask and it's like, oh, £2. You're like, all right, okay.
£2.
But yeah, no, that's an interesting book. I didn't love that, but I enjoyed reading it.
Yeah, Man of Steel's, it's fine, but Secret Origin and Birthright do it better. Modern Superman is actually also, the current Superman and Action Comics runs are also very, very good. They sort of retool Superman into he's happily married with Lois, and they have a young son, John, who's about 10, and he's learning how to use his powers. He's the new Superboy, and he has a sort of he's close friends with, but also they push each other's buttons with Damian Wayne.
Yeah.
Like, they're always griping at each other, but they're really good friends, and they're their own little super team with Bruce and Clark sort of looking over him.
Yeah.
Because they know they can't stop him from being superheroes, so they're just like, oh, we'll just have to keep an eye on you then. And it's, Superman as a father, not just to his son, but also to the world, and a protector, and it moves away from the more aggressive Superman we have in recent years, and it's a really good, fun read. So check out some modern Superman.
Is it lovely?
He's lovely.
Lovely Superman.
Volume 1 trade of the current Superman series is Son of Superman, and the Volume 1 of Action Comics is Path of Doom. They're pretty good. Don't read any New 52 Superman. New 52 Superman was bollocks.
I've got the first volume of Action Comics, New 52. That's Grant Morrison.
It's pretty good.
It's all right. I didn't love it enough to pick up volume 2. So
it doesn't go anywhere. Like it doesn't. Like that first volume is the best it gets. It doesn't get any better.
Can we sidestep slightly in the DC universe?
Yes, please.
To Vertigo.
Yes, please.
Alan Moore. Swamp Thing specifically is what
I've not read Alan Moore Swamp Thing. Tell me about Alan Moore Swamp Thing.
Tell me, Don Miguel. So Swamp Thing's an odd character anyway. If you're new to comics, you're not necessarily going to leap at Swamp Thing as your first choice. But
he's a swamp thing.
He's a swamp thing living in the swamp. What can I say about it? I don't want to say too much because it really is one that Alan Moore's work always gets praised and hailed and whatnot. You know, like Watchmen and things like that. People go, "Oh my god, you got to read it. It's the definitive." Or, "Oh my god, you got to read it. It's like a biblical experience. You've got to read it." And then Alan Moore's like, "Oh, it's just a piece of shit I scrolled out at the start of the week."
Oh yeah, like Alan Moore's ongoing hatred of his own work and sort of hatred of the genre as well.
But he stuck around for so long with Swamp Thing. Like, it's a few years worth of material.
Yeah.
It's about the experience. It's one of those where the way the story's told and the narration is absolutely stunning. Like, it's a comic book that reads more like a novel. But who is it who illustrates the majority of the run? Let's have a look. It's going to bug me if I don't have a little gander.
Is it Alan Davis?
Let's have a look. At the start of the run, it's Bissetti.
Oh no, I'm thinking of Captain Britain. Alan Davis did the Captain Britain stuff.
Yes.
With Alan Moore.
It's several artists across the run.
Yeah.
It is well worth a read. It's just odd and bizarre. I mean, one of the highlights includes a bit. Who's his partner? What's her name? Abby. One of the highlights includes she's detained in Gotham at one point. And there's some stuff going on with, like, the Floronic Man as well, Jason Woodrow.
Of course.
Now it's time to die. Not that one.
Floronic Man.
Not that Jason Woodrow, the comic book one. But it's all about that, and essentially, like, she's being held in custody, and it's the themes they play off of. It's like if Beauty and the Beast was a cop drama. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like she's been put on trial for. I think there's something else involved, but it's also partly like you're with that thing. And it's just this whole, do you know what I mean? This whole prejudice stuff. The way it's told is amazing. Because it's basically, the reason why I love that run is it's a love story. That's the genre of the book. It's a love story.
Yeah.
But it's gross. And I don't mean the love, I just mean like the sort of stuff you see in it. And it's horrifying. And like the levels of body horror that are played out, but not gory body horror. It's more about looking at it and going, I feel uncomfortable looking at that.
Yeah.
But then the romance stuff is wonderful. And the Gotham one is a highlight just because, Harvey Bullock's a supporting character in it, so you're already onto a winner there. But Batman, of course, steps in, because, the story's set in Gotham, and he essentially, like, confronts him. What's Swamp Thing's real name again?
It's...
God damn it. But he that's gonna bug me.
Alex... something.
Swamp Thing, something.
Alec something.
Yeah, Alec.
Dr. Alex.
Definitely
something.
Alec. It's definitely Alec.
Yeah.
Batman steps in essentially after Swamp Thing arrives in Gotham, and kind of like there's a thing with a rose at the courthouse and all this, and he basically just says like, "You let her go, you have 24 hours, and I will leave you alone." So Batman confronts him, and he's like, "Look, I don't want to have to do this, but you're threatening my city. I'm not going to let that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, step off. Basically, in the friendliest possible way. Batman's like, you step off. Like, you don't do anything. It's not how this works.
Yeah.
And Alex, like, I'm standing by my word. Like, dear friend, it's going to happen. And Batman sort of ends that meeting with like a, can't believe you're making me do this. Because of course then you get a bit of scuffle going on with the two of them. There's a bit where Batman like drives the Batmobile into a big fucking plant thing just to cause an explosion, just to get Alex's attention while they're trying to get
Alec Holland.
It's great. Alec Holland, that's the one. It's a really good run, but it's one of those where like Alan Moore dismisses a lot of his work. It'd be hard for him to dismiss that, considering it's over a prolonged period of time, and the way the story flows is so nice. I think it's 6 volumes in total. I've got 6.
Yeah, the saga of the Swamp Thing it's collected as, isn't it?
Yeah, worth a peek. And also, if we're talking about Vertigo and whatnot, give Watchmen a look. See,
that's not a Vertigo book.
Is it not? Oh, it's DC Comics. Oh,
yeah. Vertigo.
Has it been retroactively published through the Vertigo line?
No, I think so.
I think
it's
always Titan.
Titan Comics,
yeah,
Titan, the publishing house, published the original trade.
Yeah, that's what I'm going
before DC started publishing its own trade internationally.
And also, what was Constantine's book?
Hellblazer. I was about to say,
yeah,
because Constantine originated in Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
Not
inside Swamp Thing in his book.
Giant-sized
Swamp Thing.
To the point where
throbbing man thing.
They've started doing new Hellblazer collections now, which is really nice, which I'm working my way through. I've just started the 5th volume of it. It's very strange. Like, good strange. It's all like dark magic and weirdness, and a lot of it's set in Britain, and there's like pagan stuff in it, and it's Vertigo, so it's sexy and violent and all sorts of nastiness. And John Constantine's just a bit of a cunt, really.
Yeah.
Like, he's not likable
at
all.
Where is he from? Because I'm sure creators changed where he's from at least twice. So he's Liverpool.
He's a Scouser, but a lot of people get confused because he also had a formative disaster happen with magic and his friends in Newcastle, which he references constantly.
Right. Okay.
Like he's tried to exorcise a demon from a child in Newcastle, and it fucking backfired, and then all of his friends who were involved have ended up dying horribly since, and it's kind of left him
What
scarred.
accent does he have in the TV adaptation?
In
the Arrowverse.
Matt Ryan's Welsh.
Okay.
So he's vaguely British. He's not. He doesn't sound Welsh.
Okay. He goes for, you Americans will understand that I'm from
vaguely
the UK
sort
if I talk like
slightly.
this.
Yeah. Not London, slightly northern, but not specifically Liverpool or Newcastle or anything else.
But he's meant to be Scouse. And not Keanu Reeves.
In the canon of the comics, John Constantine is from Liverpool, yeah.
Okay.
And also he's an interesting character because in that original Hellblazer one, which is now over and he's been rolled into the main DC universe, because of course he has. In that original Hellblazer one, he ages in real time.
Oh, okay.
So
that was good. For the time.
Yeah. He starts off in his early 30s, and then by issue 300 when it ended, he was in his late 50s.
Yeah. Okay.
So, it's
weird.
Yeah.
If you want something weird, give it a try.
It's very strange, very dark. It will not leave you with happy feelings.
No, it's as you said about Annihilation the other week. Good, but won't leave you feeling great.
No.
And Jessica Jones.
Not.
That's most of our reviews.
Yeah.
Good, but it won't leave you feeling great.
It's dark and a bit nasty, but not in like a mean-spirited Mark Miller way.
Do you know what can be nasty for all the right and wrong reasons based on the book? The Earth One trades.
I've only read the 2 Batman ones. No, okay. I've only read the first Batman one.
Right.
Actually.
So you've had like the man-child killery guy.
Yeah.
That's. I don't know how I feel about.
Earth One's coming out soon.
Yeah, there's been Teen Titans as well, hasn't there?
Yeah.
Earth One are a series of hardback trade releases. You can get them in paperback as well now.
Original graphic novel.
Again, in the vein of Elseworlds, New Star, Ultimate Marvel style storylines.
Yeah.
Sometimes for the better, sometimes not so much. I've read 6 of them. I've read Wonder Woman Volume 1.
I hear that's not great.
Dreadful. It's not good, Grant Morrison.
Yeah.
It is visually gorgeous.
Well, Janet Paquette.
Yeah. The art is beautiful, especially Themyscira and the Themyscirans and the Amazons. Like they find a way to, because obviously Grant Morrison dwells on what's the name? What was the creator of Wonder Woman? Doctor
William Walter Marston. William something Marston.
Kinky Doctor Man who came up with Wonder Woman.
Was it William Walter? No, it wasn't William Walter Marston.
Dr. Marston.
William Moulton Marston.
Yeah. Molten Man.
Yeah.
The Molten Man. The Molten Man created Wonder Woman.
He's just that...
Mark Allen, the Molten Man.
Professor Marston and the Wonder Women.
Yes.
Came out recently, which is like the biopic of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. That guy was into some stuff.
Which, fair enough, because it was the way it was being told and who it was being told for and kind of secretly about. Like, it was very empowering and reassuring about sexuality.
This is a man who is in an open relationship with two women who were also kind of in a relationship within each other, and they were all into bondage.
Yeah. Polyamory, essentially.
Polyamorous.
In
bondage
the 30s.
In the 30s.
So Wonder Woman
was frowned upon, to say the least.
Wonder Woman comes from a very kind of, there is kink and bondage and grace and elegance and beauty and sexuality is a big part of that.
As much as it
origins.
could be in the 1930s for a mainstream comic, I say mainstream, for a book ostensibly aimed at children.
So Grant Morrison, in his stage directions of his script and everything for Wonder Woman Earth 1, draws on that to a degree, and for the most part it isn't offensive. Like, it feels like the world kind of revels in its own grace and beauty and sexuality. Like, the Themyscirans, they're not like, it's not just panels of them all getting off with each other, but there is implications of, well, of course, romances between Themyscirans happening here, because
they're all women, yeah.
But the way they're drawn certainly is there to make you go, oh my god, everybody's gorgeous. The problem is in the story, I remember him pitching it on an episode of Fat Man and Batman years ago, where he said to Kevin Smith he was working on it, he said the pitch behind it was the idea that Steve Trevor arrives on Themyscira, and before he can get back to, I believe it's modern day, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it is modern day.
Before he can get
They're
back,
all sort of modern day.
they put him on trial
to
basically defend all of mankind, specifically men. And that idea alone, you're like, that could be either absolutely brilliant or dog shit. It's dog shit. It's hands down dog shit in the book. But it's good looking dog shit as far as the book goes. Batman Earth 1, I have a love-hate relationship. I've read the 2 volumes. They're sort of... It's almost like it's too grim and gritty for its own good in terms of what I would like from them. Because it's realistic in a way. They decide that Alfred's going to be a big part of Bruce's crusade. Because he's like an ex-marine and he's a younger man and he's built like a brick shit house.
Yeah.
It's the reason why Sean Pertwee in Gotham is kind of like that. Like, they've sort of based it off Earth 1 Alfred.
Getting real tired of your shit, Master Wayne.
Master Wayne, I'm waving for
Oh, by the way, have you heard that the Gotham producers want to adapt The Long Halloween?
Just stop.
No,
do you know what? No, carry on. Carry on doing it, because eventually that means you're going to stop. And then it can go away and everyone will forget it existed. We've been planning it the other day, and it's like the Rise of the Villains, whatever it's called, like the Diamond Select toy line's out. Yeah. And there's Azrael, Mr. Freeze, and someone else, Hugo Strange. And I'm like, right, so they've all been and gone then before Batman's even Batman. What's the point? Anywho. Batman Earth 1's interesting. Some stuff really works, some stuff doesn't. Batman is incompetent in Batman Earth 1.
Yes.
He's incompetent. His combat and strategy is something he's developing and is doing better at. He's definitely got some of the Mystique and the Ninja stuff is there, but so many scenes in the book involve him like just sort of being there and leaving the scene, not clumsily, but in a way where Gordon's sort of commenting on like, you can get out that way. And it's done in a way that it's saying to the reader, hey, this Batman's not quite there yet, but I'm like, hey, this Batman's a dumbass. Batman. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't think he does like Batman very much.
There are some good ideas in there, though.
And Gary Frank draws a hell of a book.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. But, if you're going to check out Earth 1, Superman, motherfucking Superman, from your boy, JMS. 3 volumes.
Superman!
This is the Superman film series I wish we had.
Yeah.
Superman Earth 1 by J. Michael Straczynski, and I think it's a different illustrator on each one. Who's on the first one? It's Shane Davis does the first 2, and then there's 3 different artists work on the 3rd volume.
Ardian CF, and who else?
Says Clarado? I'm not sure. But it's gorgeous. It's the Superman movies I wish we had.
Yeah.
It is the story of like early 20-something Clark Kent moves to Metropolis to start his journalism job, and he's also like, I want to get this superhero thing that I'm kind of working my way up to doing. Like, I can't wait to try it out. And he doesn't quite get the job you're all expecting him to get, because of course he wouldn't get it right away. And he's having a like room share with a flatmate who he's absolutely smitten with, because she's awesome as a best mate. She starts to feel a different way about him, so you get to play on different relationships with a new character who's our POV character for the second volume. Oh. You get nice new takes on not Zod directly, but that kind of idea.
Yeah.
Parasite, I think, is in the second or first volume.
Parasite, love Parasite in Superman Origin Stories. He pops up in Secret Origin as well.
Yeah, like there's ways to work with that, because it's the ultimate sort of like final test for the beginning of a hero story. Superman. Oh, there you go. He's a good one. Parasite works. He's good. But JMS's Superman Earth 1 is brilliant, and because it's only the 3 volumes, I think there's been word of a 4th at some point. But the way the Earth 1 books work is it's as and when they can do it, they'll make one.
Because we're not going to be seeing a Batman Earth 1 anytime soon, because Jeff Johns and Gary Frank are both wrapped up doing Doomsday Clock.
Yeah. Now someone else could do it. Like someone else could.
I think that would defeat the point of the Earth 1 line, though.
But yeah, they're also self-contained, stuck in their own thing. They're not focusing on anything else. I've not read the Teen Titans one. Is there a Batman Earth 1 Volume 3? No, there isn't. It's Wonder Woman Earth 1 Volume 2 that's about to come out.
Oh, yeah. And
I have no interest.
Green Lantern Earth 1 as well.
Green Lantern Earth 1. Is it Hal Jordan?
Yes.
I should have been John Stewart. Throw a curveball.
Do
an Earth 1
because they've been doing
someone else.
They've been doing little previews of it in the recent DC books, and it's
okay.
It's
I forgot they do that.
He's like an experimental astronaut.
Oh, okay. So they're changing it from a pilot
to...
Well,
he's a pilot, but he's... Yeah. Like, he encounters the ring on some sort of space mission, it looks like.
Okay. I'd be down with that. I'd be DTF. We don't stick around too long, because you've got somewhere to be, sorry.
I've got places to go, people to see.
Let's touch on a few, like... We might have mentioned these before, but ones we shoot
quick ones.
Mad Love and Other Stories. The Batman animated series comic book compilation is great, because you get a bunch of Batman New Adventures comic books based on the animated series style, like visually and script-wise. But you also get, of course, the titular Mad Love, which is great. It's the Harley Quinn story. It's gorgeous. The comic book version is the comic book version is better than the episode, simply on the basis of the visuals. The episode is gorgeously animated, and of course you get the voice acting from Arlene Sorkin, Mark Hamill, Kevin Conroy, but the comic book knows that it's not just kids reading the comic, so it
pushes the envelope
up a little,
yeah,
and in a way that fits that kind of story, because the story of Harley is not for kids. That character can be used in a medium for kids quite easily, but you're telling the origin. This is about an abusive relationship. At this point, mostly psychologically abusive relationship. It does not shy away from how dark and complicated that can be, but at the same time, it is full of all the charm and the style of the animated series, and it's kind of not glorifying, but like celebrating like the gangster 1930s aesthetic of it all, and it's gorgeous and definitely worth a look.
If you want to get into Elseworld stuff, which is what if stories that DC do, Kingdom Come, which is about a dark future where it's basically the 90s extreme heroes taken to their furthest conclusion, and Superman and the other classic heroes step in to intervene, and it all goes horribly wrong. I did a big download about it. Have a look at it on our YouTube channel. It's like Marvel's was. We've been talking about Marvel. Alex Ross painting it. It's beautiful.
Like, I didn't love Justice, but I love looking at it.
Yeah,
because Alex Ross's work is just stunning.
What else?
If you want things in bite-sized chunks, I would highly recommend looking for the trade paperback versions of, because it'd be cheaper at the end, of the digital first comics from about 6 years ago. Specifically, The Adventures of Superman.
Oh yeah, the anthology books.
Yeah, and Batman Legends of the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
They are brilliant. Each story is about 12 to 20 pages long.
Yeah.
And they're just these gorgeous... Some of them are multi-parters, but they're just these gorgeous short stories with a plethora of different writers and artists working on every single issue.
Yeah.
And you get a nice mix. I mean, the only downside is, because you get some writers like, oh my god, it's the story I've always wanted to tell, you might end up with the same villains popping up a couple stories in a row.
Yes.
But the visual difference, like, because of the art style, makes it feel fresh. They're so good. Like, and Adventures of Super, like, Legends of the Dark Knight is great if you want something that's a bit creepy and a bit more crime oriented.
Yeah.
If you want to see some really interesting takes on minor Batman villains and on stories about how Batman works psychologically.
Yeah.
And stories about Alfred. If you want something that's more fun and digestible and just like, oh, that was great, Adventures of Superman.
As
My God,
Superman
it's great.
should be.
There's some beautiful artists who work on that. Like, it's like really quirky Pixar style looking character models in some of them.
Yeah.
It's just lush.
If you are after some good space opera sci-fi stuff, then you want to check out Jeff Johns' Green Lantern series. Starts off with Green Lantern Rebirth, which reintroduces Hal Jordan, then goes into an ongoing series, and you also get a Green Lantern Corps spin-off. Very, very good stuff. Leads into the Blackest Night event that shook the DC universe. Very good stuff. Definitely give that a sniff.
It grabbed it by the tackle and wriggled it around a bit.
Oh, yes!
And just off the cuff, a few different companies that aren't DC or Marvel. Just a few things you should check out along the way.
Saga from Image Comics. Wonderful, bonkers, breathtakingly...
Brian K. Vaughan
and Fiona Staples on art. Beautiful artwork, incredible designs. These two races at war... these two planets at war that's consumed their whole galaxy, and two parents from opposing sides just trying to raise their mixed race daughter in peace. It's awesome. Also on the subject of Brian K. Vaughan, you should read Why the Last Man, in which a plague kills all the men on Earth except one and his pet monkey. And it tries to get to the bottom of that. It's a really interesting take on the post-apocalypse genre. And I think it's in 10 volumes. It ran for 60 issues, so it's not particularly long. But yeah, give that a read with your eyes. I don't think of other.
There's an artist whose name that's absolutely escaped me. An artist and writer, and I want to get it right, so I'm going to search it up in a moment.
Yeah.
But
don't read Spawn, whatever you do.
No, don't read Spawn.
Don't read Spawn. Don't let the Image comic stuff take you in. If you do want to read some Image comic stuff, there's plenty of good stuff. Give The Walking Dead a go, but it might not be for everyone. I enjoyed the first 14, 15 volumes, and then I kind of stopped reading. But it starts off well, that's for sure. But it will not make you feel good. Also, Image, you can go to have a look at Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKelvey's Phonogram, which is about music as magic. It's just very, very good. I don't know what else to say about it. It's difficult to explain the concept without and sell it because I just don't have the words in my face. Also, I've only read a couple of issues of it, but I really liked what I've read of their Wicked and the Divine series, so that might be worth checking out. I'm going to read some more of it at some point in the near future.
Anthology books, Twisted Dark. It's basically Twilight Zone in short black and white storylines. That's amazing. And they did a spin-off called Twisted Light, which was quite nice too. The author whose name I'd forgotten, and I'm so annoyed, but I've got him. It's Doug Tenopole. He does graphic novels that are just like one-off books, like that's the book. Yeah. The ones that I highly recommend, again, we'll go into detail about these another time, but the ones that I recommend are Ghostopolis, Monster Zoo, Tommysaurus Rex, and there's another one that is on my tits, and I can't remember which one it is. He also wrote for Adventure Time, so you know what kind of humor you're getting into.
Yeah.
But his are beautiful. They're just these odd things. So I recommend his stuff. And
Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Yes.
Now careful, because Scott Pilgrim versus the World is the title of the third volume.
Okay,
They're just called Scott Pilgrim.
Volumes 1 to 7?
6.
And
they
missed a trick there.
It's like Scott Pilgrim.
They missed a trick there. Should have been 7.
Scott Pilgrim's Precious Little Life. Scott Pilgrim Gets It Together. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Scott Pilgrim and the Infinite Sadness. I can't remember the last 2 volumes, but yeah, there's 6 volumes. Either available in small format, manga-esque, black and white, or in more traditional trade format that have been recoloured. I've got and read the black and white ones, and they're great. So give them a go with your face and your eyes. They're really good.
Do you know what else is really good?
What's that?
You lot.
Hey!
We hope you got something added to your recommended reading list by listening to the last 2 weeks. If not, then go to a library and read a book, you uncultured swine.
Or tell us what you read and enjoy.
Yeah.
Tell us what to read.
Shoot us a recommendation.
Yeah.
Be it from the big two, be it a Dark Horse, an Image, an IDW, an independent publisher. Yeah. We want to know, what comic books are you reading? And have you checked out any of the ones that we've mentioned? If you have, email us and let us know. BigDamnContact@gmail.com. That's BigDamnContact@gmail.com.
At Big Damn Cast on Twitter!
And of course, the Big Damn channel on YouTube is where you can find all of our shite. Now, we'll be back next week in some form. Seat of our pants recording, because we're not exactly sure how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
It all depends on how good my Wi-Fi is in Lincoln. Failing that, we'll be recording it over the phone, and it'll be a 20-minute episode to save on phone bills.
Hey!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, what are you doing listening to this? You shouldn't be doing that. Go to bed! Goodbye.
Goodbye. I'm going to sit here and play with this tiny Your toy? Ha ha ha!